Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the listening public, the wonderful people here on the island of Nevis, those in St. Kitts, those in the wider Caribbean. Good evening to friends and family in Canada, the United States, in the United Kingdom, wherever you may be this evening. Good evening to you, and welcome to another edition of On the Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and tonight we have a very special program where we have a guest with us, somebody who's well known to all of us, and I'll get to him very shortly because I think we're going to have a good conversation tonight, and hopefully with your calls you can add to that conversation by putting matters that are of interest to you on the table. But good evening to you and welcome to this edition of On the Mark. Let me start the show by extending very warm birthday greetings to Lloyd Payne right there in the Bronx, 1407, not 1407, what am I saying, right in Vice Avenue. I want to say to Lloydie, as we know him, happy birthday, sir, from the entire family. They've asked me to say to you that they love and cherish you and are grateful that you continue to be with them, and we wish you many more years, long life, and this is coming from the entire family, all of your children, the entire home circle, but also from all of us here in Nevis, from Jerry, Trevor, and the entire clan, from Ray, all of us. Lloydie, if you're listening, happy birthday. We pray that God continues to bless you and be with you, and we trust and hope that all goes well. And all continues to go well. 1537 Vice Avenue. I was trying to remember the address. Not 1407 Broadway. That's a different address. 1537 Vice Avenue. So, happy birthday, Lloydie Payne from Bath Village, in Metropolis of Bath, celebrating his birthday, and we wish him all the very best. For all of those other people who might be celebrating, happy birthday, happy anniversary, whatever it may be. For some of you who are not in a celebratory mood because you've lost a loved one or you might be sick, I extend my sympathies, and I extend, for those who are ill, those who might be hospitalized, I extend my best wishes for a speedy recovery. There is a lot happening, and we'll get into a lot of that this evening, but let me start the show by indicating my absolute joy that the Nevis debating team has triumphed in the Leeward Islands debating competition. I'm advised that now puts them at 12 wins in that competition and puts them at the top of the scale in terms of those islands that compete who have won the most times. And so congratulations to Team Nevis. I think they did incredibly well to beat back all the competition, and they of course would have had to have done 3 debates because they started on the first night. So those that started later only did 2. And ironically, St. Kitts and Nevis met each other in the finals in St. Kitts, and Nevis triumphed, and triumphed by some distance as well. So I say congratulations to Team Nevis. Congratulations as well, of course, to Team St. Kitts, the runner-up, and congratulations to all the other teams that participated. I think I saw Montserrat, Anguilla, St. Martin were all part, and Antigua were all part of the competition, and so congratulations to all, but very proud of Team Nevis. I want to say kudos to the team, to their coaches, to the teachers, the entire staff at the Charlestown Secondary School, to their principal, always full of energy, my friend Mrs. Paris. She was there roaring away. I'm wondering if she has a voice left, but congratulations to them. They did remarkably well. I should also extend congratulations to the Honorable Troy Liebert as the Minister of Education, and the PS Danella Claxton, because they pushed very hard. I remember Troy coming to the cabinet and ensuring that the cabinet provided the necessary financial support for the team to go to St. Kitts and to compete. And so an all-around victory for Nevis, and I'm very proud when our little island does well. And it demonstrates what I keep saying, that it really matters nothing where we come from. It matters nothing about the size of our island. What really matters is our heart. What they say, doesn't matter the size of the dog, but the fight in the dog. That is what matters, in terms of just us being able to go out and perform at the very best levels. And here we are again, standing on top of the Leeward Islands in terms of our debating and elocution skills, and I want to congratulate them sincerely. While I'm in a congratulatory mood, let me congratulate all the participants of our first Taste of Hollywood Master acting class. And that could not have been possible without the sponsorship of the Four Seasons Resort and also the assistance of Juliet Jeffers. Juliet Jeffers is a Nivision actress in fact, a relative of the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. And Juliet came to meet me some time ago, brought by Alexis to be introduced, and we had this conversation. And I'm very, very happy that through our film commissioner and the Nevis Investment Promotion Agency, we're able to put on this Hollywood masterclass, acting masterclass, and by all accounts, it was absolutely fabulous. I've already put Juliet on notice that we're definitely going to need her and her friends back to continue this momentum as we try to build out the film industry here on the island of Nevis and prepare our people in various roles, whether it's acting, makeup, lighting, sound, camera work, editing, whatever it may be. We want our people to be prepared as we embark on this new industry. We've been talking about it. We have seen what it can do when we partner with MSR Media, and we will continue to progress that industry as another thing, if you will, another aspect to our economy here on the island of Nevis. So kudos to Juliet Jeffers. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We say thanks, and we pray that you get back safely. We know that you have a very active career in the United States, but we want you to come back, and we commit to those who have now been bit by the acting bug that we will continue the training as we go forward. And so I think we had some 30 or so persons from across St. Kitts and Nevis who were exposed, and we will continue in that vein. We are very deliberate in terms of what we're doing here on the island of Nevis. We are building out our infrastructure in various ways, and we have a plan that we're working towards, and I think that is manifesting itself in interesting ways as we progress this island and as we move it forward. So again, I'm very grateful for that. We have a lot that's happening. I'm told that this weekend we have the Inter-High Sports happening at our Munda facility, and then next weekend we have the National Inter-High Championships, where all the teams from St. Kitts will be over here for the first time in what will prove to be an historic meet. We're praying for good weather, and of course we expect thousands of people at the Nevis Munda facility. We're ready, I'm told, and we hope to put on an excellent show. And for all of those hundreds who will be traveling from St. Kitts, we assure you that you will experience the best of Nevisian hospitality. Of course, over the years, the Nevis teams have had to go down to St. Kitts to the Kim Collins Stadium for this championship. This year, because of some repairs that are being done there, they're coming over. And I want to say it because I think it's important that it be said. When we came up with this idea of this Mondo track and decided to execute it, there was a lot of criticism. A lot of people had a lot of negative things to say. But here we are. And I believe the evidence that when one has vision, it really is important. And when one has vision, one sometimes has to, as I like to say, ignore the noise. Focus on the mission at hand and get the mission accomplished. Here we now have an IAAF certified track on the island of Nevis. Our children, I remind us all, used to run on grass. And when there was no rain, they ran on dirt at the ETW Park. That's where we used to have our sports days. We decided that we needed to upgrade, and that is what we have done, to move from running on grass and dirt to running on an IAAF certified surface, and the only 9-lane facility in the Federation. I think speaks volumes to the vision of this government. We put it in place, and here it is now that because the track in St. Kitts is under repairs, we have an alternative right next to in Nevis that our brothers and sisters from St. Kitts can now come over and compete. I know we also will have the Carifta trials happening there as well. And again, that is only possible because we have a certified facility where they can compete. And so despite all the naysayers and despite all the negativity, I believe that when you have vision, when you execute that vision, and governments must have vision, they must look forward, they must look beyond the noise sometimes and say, what are the benefits of this? And I believe our young people are much better off, our young athletes are much better off having a facility now. And the fact that we can host the national championships is evidence that facility is in fact doing what it's supposed to do. And so I say kudos to all those involved. I know there's been close collaboration between the Honorable Samuel Duggins and St. Kitts and the Honorable Troy Lywood and Nevis and their teams. And I say kudos to them, and we look forward to some excellent returns, an excellent championship over there. I hope plenty records are broken and that the teams compete and that they do well. This will be not this weekend, but next weekend. That is all happening there. And so we look forward very much to that. And again, as I said, it's evidence of the strides that this island has made, this little Nevis has made in recent years under the effective management of the concerned citizens movement. And I say that because it is true. The evidence is there for all to see. We will shortly be having our grand opening of our reception facility at the Oali Water Taxi Pier. We recognize that persons have been inconvenienced for some time, but we are happy that we took our time, and what is done there now is done to our satisfaction, and we hope done to the public's satisfaction. And what we've done there is really to create a new gateway, if you will, for the island of Nevis. And we look forward very much to that opening, and I'm sure you'll hear more about that. I believe that this is a good point for me to say that the minister who has been responsible for bringing this project to conclusion is here with me tonight. It's none other than the Deputy Premier, the Honorable Eric Evelyn. And that project was been spearheaded by the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, and he continues even now to assist with that project. But certainly in terms of ministerial responsibility, the Honorable Deputy Premier Eric Evelyn is responsible for NASPA, and they were the executing agency, not NASPA, I'm sorry, NHLDC, the executing agency for that project. Of course, the project will be managed by NASPA once it's handed over. And so it's a good way at 13 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock, my shortest soliloquy in the past weeks, to introduce my cousin, my friend, the Deputy Premier, the Honorable Eric Evelyn. Eric, welcome to On the Mark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Premier, and it is indeed a pleasure to be here. It's always a pleasure to be here, and it's good to be here. And I'm not the host tonight. It's good to be here as a guest, right? So I'm very delighted to be here as usual. It's always good to be here, of course, on the Eastern Caribbean Spa House to talk with and to the people of Nevis and St. Kitts, the wider region, and those in the diaspora. Of course, we know that this show is very widely listened to. And of course, every time I come on to host, I always say that. And it is a fact. And so we are always delighted to converse with our people here in the Federation and further afield. Of course, to bring all of the fantastic information that we normally bring. As you rightly said, Mr. Premier, there is so much happening on the island of Nevis, and we as a people, we ought to be very proud of where we have come from, where we are, and we ought to be very proud of our government, the Concerned Citizens Movement-led Nevis Island Administration. We are doing so much, and as you rightly just said, Honorable Premier, yes, the facility there at Oali will be open. The official opening is coming very shortly, and so you'll be hearing much more about that. And of course, I have had the privilege as the minister with responsibility for the NHLDC. The NHLDC was managing that project, and so we are happy and delighted that it is complete. And very shortly, persons will be walking through those doors there at that water. I'm sure everybody who walks through those doors will be very pleased with the work that we have done. Of course, it took some time, but good things always come to those who wait. And once again, it's a pleasure to be here. I just wanted to say a few things as well before we get into the meat of our discussions. I also want to join with you, Mr. Premier, in congratulating our Nevis team for lifting the Leeward Islands Debating Championship for the 12th time, and all of us on the island of Nevis must be very proud. Of course, our debaters went down to St. Kitts. They performed creditably. They won all of their debates. They were in top form. They were in top shape. And I'm sure the folks there at the Charlestown Secondary School, at the Sixth Form College, their parents, their peers, the Minister of Education, the PS, all must be very, very proud of the debaters. They went and they did a fantastic job in ensuring that the championship comes back to Nevis. They were not in the championship last year, but they went, they showed up this year, and they showed up in fine form. So congratulations to you, Nevis. Job Very well done. We are certainly very proud of you. And as you rightly said, Premier, we as an administration, we as a cabinet, we were very happy to support this cause financially. So it's not just talk. We talked, and of course we put our money there as well from an administration standpoint. I also want to join with you in congratulating the successful hosting of the Hollywood acting seminar there at the MGR Park. I noticed that there was quite a number of persons who were there, and I think the numbers, I'm sure, probably surpassed the expectations of what Juliet Jeffers would have expected and maybe what the administration would have expected. But it shows that people are interested in acting, people are interested in the film industry, and I believe we have something good to build on. And with what Juliet has done in terms of that acting seminar or that acting workshop, I'm sure a lot more will come on the persons who their appetite were whet, and I'm sure they would be wanting a lot more. While I'm in the congratulatory mode, I would also like to congratulate the Guyanese community, Blackstone family, and all of the organizers for the activity there this past Saturday, the Rama. This was the 10th hosting of the event, and I can't believe, Mr. Premier, that this activity is actually 10 years old. I want to commend you as well, because you're one of the main sponsors, and I think you have been sponsoring from the onset, from the inception of that activity. Of course, we know that most of the years it would have been hosted over at the ETW Park. They came to the villa this year. It was very well organized, very well laid out. The turnout was good. The camaraderie there was good, and the company was good. The music was good, and so on. And so I want to commend the organizers for putting that activity together. I was there. I enjoyed myself. I was able to make a few remarks, and I think the remarks were well received, and all in all, I think it was a wonderful event. And as I would have said in my remarks, Honorable Premier, we are all one people in the Caribbean. We should not just show it in terms of when there are CARICOM heads of government meetings. We all need to show it as one people as well. And so we have embraced the Guyanese community. They have come, they have made a sterling contribution to the development of the island, and we were very happy to support them in the Rama celebration. Of course, you know, Mashramani is something very huge in Guyana, and they would have fused Mashramani with, I guess, Culturama and call it Masharama. And so kudos to those organizers for putting on a fantastic show there at the villa on a Saturday evening. Now I go to a more somber note, Honorable Premier, and of course we know that quite a number of persons are presently in the bereaved column. And I just wanted to just reach out to persons who are bereaved at this time. Quite a lot of persons have been bereaved from since the year started, and quite a number of persons are in the bereaved column right now. And so I want to reach out to those in bereaved column. I want to say good night and condolences to the family of the late Conrad Taylor, who was laid to rest yesterday, his children and the rest of the family. Of course, we know Conrad would have spent countless years at the government repair shop, and he provided human service there to the government repair shop there at Prospect. And so we say condolences to the family. Of course, I want to say condolences to the family of the late Rogers as well, the former police officer. And there's an Nesta Maynard from the Fountain area, I hope I have the name correct, who would have passed over the weekend as well. And so we want to say condolences to her. She has a very big family. Melodita Chapman there in Gingerland, you and your family. I know you're a regular caller to this program. To Marcia David and your family, to Reverend Petronida Hanley Brown, and all who are left to mourn for the death of Anesta. And we have Ophelia Sutton Hendrickson from down there in Hanley's Road. She would have passed last Friday as well, and so I want to send some condolences to her entire family. Marjorie, her sister, to Nurse Janice, who was taking a very good care of her, to Rita Sutton, who was very close to her, and the entire family there in Hanley's Road and other parts of the island. Of course, we had a young man from Bath Village here, Carlos Soap Chapman, who would have passed as well, and so we extend condolences to his family, to Miss David and the children, and to his entire family. And we had Chef Lind Williams, who resides in St. Kitts, but would have spent a lot of time in Nevis. He would have worked at numerous establishments in Nevis, including the Four Seasons. And I would have known Chef Lynn Williams for quite some time, but I hadn't a clue that he was actually married to someone from in my constituency, from up in the Rollins area, until this past December. I would have had a guy, met them at a family event, had a good chat with Chef Lynn Williams. And of course, I want to extend condolences to his dear wife, Amethyst, to the children, and of course to the in-laws, the Hanley family up there in Rollins, Oriel, and the rest of the family. Condolences to you. And we say condolences as well to the family of Natalie Bowers, who passed away in Jamaica. Our very own Margaret Williams, who is now in the U.S., and her entire family, and Marilyn, to her daughter-in-law Hazel, and the entire family. And of course, last but by no means least, someone who was very, very dear to me. We have lost Lisa Claxton, who was a very, very good friend of mine. She's originally from Jamaica, but of course, we know she was married to Brian Claxton, who is also close to me. So I was close to both of them. And it was a very, very sad morning when I got the news from Brian that Lisa had passed on Saturday night. And so I know Brian is very, very, very broken at this time. Brian, my brother, keep heart. Deepest condolences to you and the entire family. I know Lisa was a very bubbly person, always smiling. And she had a lot of friends as well. I remember when she was in New York, she came home last year, and my secretary told me, someone is here to see you. She said she just wanted to say hello. When I looked, it was the bubbly Lisa walking into my office, say, I'm home for a couple of days and I just came to say hello to you. You know, so Brian, as I said, I know it's very, very, very difficult. Lisa was a sweet, sweet, sweet lady, and I know you have some good memories. So deepest condolences to you, and all who are mourning the loss of loved one at this time. I know it's a difficult thing to pass through, but may God keep you in his embrace and in his enfold at this time. And just some information I also wanted to give out, Honorable Premier. For the past, I think, 2 or 3 years, I've been conducting a white goods cleanup in my constituency of St. George, Gingerland. I normally do it around February, March. And so I do not want March to pass, because since last year, people have been calling me. Since in November, December, people have been calling. And so I have planned that white goods cleanup for Saturday, the 16th of March. That's not this Saturday, the following Saturday. So I'm putting all the persons in Gingerland on notice. You have a week and a half to get your white goods together, because as I said, people have been calling since last year. And so that will be on the 16th of March. It's a Saturday. We normally have 5 bins in 5 areas in the constituency. They will be in the same 5 areas. One there in the Clegot area, just across from where Mirthlin normally sells. One will be up at Rollins, next to Jules' shop. One will be over in the Hickman's Community Center yard. One will be down in Matchman's, just above DJ Wenty. And one would be down in Hanley's Road, on that large empty lot of land above the Wesleyan Holiness Church there. So those are the 5 areas. And of course, normally I have persons who need assistance. If you can take your stuff to the bins yourself, then we are very happy for that. If you have bulky items and you cannot take them to the bins yourselves, then we have some persons with trucks who will be able to give you some assistance. You will be hearing much more information, but I can tell you from the onset that over in the Clegot area, that bin that will be serviced, any person who have stuff to throw in that bin there at Clegot, you can contact Polo Morton. His number is 660-2212. Up in the Rollins area, you'll be able to contact Philroy Walters. His number is 668-3037. In the Hickman's area, and of course that normally service the Hickman's and the Zion, the Webb's Ground area. Anybody over in that area who have white goods, you can contact Junior Mulcair. His number is 668-1290. And the Hanley's Road and the Matchman bins, they are normally serviced by Teshron Maynard and Caldon Maynard. Teshron's number is 664-1288 and Caldon is 663-1308. So as I said, you'll hear more information about the white goods cleanup hopefully the course of next week. But I just wanted to let persons in Gingerland know that those of you in particular who have been asking, that that activity will be coming. We am indeed delighted to be able to provide that service to you, the people of my good constituency, and you can of course get your areas cleaned up if you have white goods. Bear in mind, Saturday the 16th of March. And so that's my little, as you would say, Premier, that's my little soliloquy for now. Of course, as you rightly said, we have a lot to discuss tonight. And I'm sure when you spoke about the Uwali water facility, water taxi facility, of course, I'm sure you didn't mention as well that very shortly we will be getting Winnie back.
Absolutely. So I think there's a lot to discuss.
Yes.
Eric, thank you again for being here. And you're regular now. You host the show often in my absence as well, and I'm grateful to you for that. But you have made quite a few announcements. Congratulations on your white goods cleanup. You have led the way in that regard, and I think that the people of Nevis can be assured that we'll be doing a number of these throughout the communities as we lead up to Culturama 50. We are not just doing it for Culturama. I like to tell people we keep our environment clean for ourselves, and then those who come to visit us, we hope, will enjoy that clean environment as well. But before I go further, let me join you in expressing condolences. I didn't get into the specifics as you did, but certainly to all of those who are suffering at this time. I've been able to go and see Brian, who you may know is my childhood friend and who I went to school with. He was my classmate throughout school, and certainly the loss of Lisa is felt by all of us. And for all of those who are struggling, the young man from Bath as well, Soap, as they refer to him, in terms of his children and his family that's left to mourn him, I have been able to reach out to them as well. And so it really is a difficult time when we lose loved ones, but we are praying that they're in a better place, and that the good wishes that you've expressed and the good wishes of all of us and the prayers of everyone will comfort them in this their time of bereavement. We have, as you say, the good news that Wayne is resuming flights. I'm particularly happy, Minister Evelyn, because the Culturama is coming, and we know that it's been quite, people are anxious to find out how they can come home. And Winier is offering us to starting on the 15th of March, 4 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So they will come in Friday evening, Saturday evening, and Sunday evening. All 3 evenings they leave St. Martin around 6 p.m. And then they leave the next day, Nevis, at 8 a.m. And so the idea is that you can leave Nevis at 8 a.m. Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Monday morning. That allows you the opportunity, one, to go and do your shopping and see loved ones in St. Martin. It also allows those in St. Martin to come home for the weekend, because they can hop and Winnie at 6 o'clock Friday evening and be back there on early Monday morning in time for work. So I think that's a great weekend effort that they can make, and we too can go and see our loved ones for the weekend. But I think one of the advantages of Winnie coming back is the extent of connectivity that Winnie offers. Through St. Martin and Juliana Airport and through the code share arrangements that Winnie has, you can book with Winnie, for example, to Paris, France. And all you do is check your bags in at Van Samry Airport. You don't see your bags again until you reach to Paris. Similarly, if you want to go to Amsterdam, if you want to go to Europe, it provides a gateway to Europe that none of the other airports provides, unless of course you're going to go through the UK. And so I think that that's very useful. It also has a lot of flights going to the United States. So JetBlue, American, Spirit, all of those airlines that go into St. Martin,
Delta, United,
they all go there. That our people now have more choice from more parts of the United States, and so they can come and connect seamlessly through St. Martin. Of course, we expect that a lot of people are still going to come through RLB, which is our main portal, but we feel that this now adds some additional value. And this is part of what this government has been trying to do, to actively encourage the environment where people can come back. When I learned that Winnie was expanding its routes, I reached out to Michael Cleaver, who used to be the person in charge, and Michael Cleaver said to me, "My friend, you've called me, but I'm no longer the man. I've just handed over to a chap called Claudio Boncampo." And he gave me Claudio's number. I reached out to Claudio, and Claudio said to me, "You know, life is funny because we have been discussing Nevis." So it's just as if the things happened at the right time. So we engaged, I engaged directly, and then having got the commitment from Winnie, we handed Claudio over to the team. And I want to commend Oral Brandy at NASPA, Colin Doe at Finance, certainly John Hanley at Tourism, because they've been working very closely together, and Devon Liebert at the Nevis Tourism Authority, because that was the core team that put this together. We have been doing some promotions for the flight. We have a low introductory fare that has been introduced to attract attention to it, and what we've said to them, listen, let us do what we can to keep the fares the same as St. Kitts. So flying out of Nevis should not cost you anything more than out of St. Kitts, because in the past, part of the problem was people say it was cheaper, so they would travel to St. Kitts on the boat and fly out of St. Kitts. Well, there's no need to do that now. Winnie is here, and I'm urging people to use the service. And for those in St. Martin who want to be home for Culturama, we hope to put on even more flights. Now, every time I mention flights, the people in St. Croix say, what's happening with St. Croix? Of course, we have KPA coming from St. Thomas, but I would assure them that we hope to have some news for them very soon in St. Croix. We are working as hard as we can to come to some arrangements in relation to St. Croix and airlift out of St. Croix. Since Mike and Coastal Air has been out of service, we understand, and almost on a daily basis, our people from St. Croix are reaching out to me. What's happening, what's happening, what's happening? So we definitely are working on that. So St. Croix, those of you in St. Croix, I want you to know that we are working to put things in place to ensure that you have a way to come home and see your families as well, and come home for Culturama 50. Now, as I mentioned, Culturama 50, the man again who is responsible for that is the Honorable Eric Evelyn, and he's here. So Eric, can you give us a bit about what Culturama 50 is going to look like and how things are shaping up? I know it's still early.
Very early.
But we have started out from literally from January we started out. So this is a big year. It's a milestone year. How are things looking?
Well, it is a milestone year. It is a huge year, Premier, and things are looking up. As you rightly would have said, we got out of the blocks pretty early this year. I don't think we've ever been out of the blocks this early. And so we had this press conference on the 25th of January this year, hosted there at the Malcolm Gishard Park. And of course, we would have introduced quite a number of things there at that press conference. I would have made some huge announcement there during the press conference. And we have been having some good reaction from ever since we've had that press conference. Persons have been calling the secretariat, persons have been calling me, and based on some of the things that we would have said. And of course, during that press conference as well, we would have released some activities. And of course, it was said there at the press conference that this is just the core of the activities. This is not all of the activities. It was made clear during the press conference that we will be bringing out the activities. We'll be releasing them in waves, and so that was just the first wave, and it shows you how persons are so connected and so in tune with what is happening here on the island of Nevis. People want to know what's happening, and so every activity that is happening here, people tune in, people are on the live. Because when we had that press conference, we had some issues with the Wi-Fi there at the MGR Park, and so the live was cut. And we had numerous calls, numerous messages. What happened? We can't get you. What's happening? But of course, luckily, we were able to still get the press conference recorded, and then it was uploaded on YouTube. And so persons were able to go in after and listen to the press conference. And as I said, since that press conference, there has been a buzz. There has been a buzz not only here on the island of Nevis, but there's a buzz all over the world where persons from Nevis are, and especially in the United States, there's that constant buzz there. here on the island of Nevis, we would have made some announcement about an island enhancement initiative, and I wanted to just mention something about this again tonight, because since we would have made that announcement, a number of persons have been calling, and I don't think some persons were particularly clear. I think we made it clear there during that press conference, but some people are still not clear, because even up to last week and this week I've been getting calls about the Island Enhancement Initiative, because of course this is the 50th anniversary, and what we're trying to do is that we're trying to get people to spruce up their homes, to spruce up their villages. We as an administration, we have given the commitment during our cabinet meetings that we will be doing what we can to spruce up the Charlestown area, to spruce up government buildings, so that there is an absolute new look when persons come home. I did mention one time on a program that you were hosting on the Mark Premier that people from Nevis who have not been home for a very long time, because the information I'm getting is that a lot of persons who have been home for a long time will be coming, will be descending on our shores, and I did say that those people will have a rude awakening when they come, and I'm going to repeat that. They will have
the awakening will be rude. It'll be a good awakening.
A good one. A good one.
They'll be surprised.
They will be pleasantly surprised
Absolutely.
as to what is happening here on the island of Nevis, and the developments that have been happening here. And so persons have been calling, and for those of you who have still been calling about the Island Enhancement Initiative, because I remember one person called me and said they understand that we're giving loans or we're giving grants. That is not the case. You are able to get duty-free concession on material, to do your fencing, to do driveways, to add to the aesthetics of your homes and your properties. For those of you who have guest houses and so on, you'll be able to change your furniture, to spruce up and that sort of thing. So I want to make it absolutely clear that the government is not giving money for you to do this. We're not giving any grants, we're not giving any loans. You have to utilize your funds, and maybe if you have to go to the bank, but there's a process, and so you need to go to the Ministry of Finance, and they'll be able to guide you in terms of that process and in terms of what will be taking place and what you can do from what you cannot do. I want to remind persons, if you're hiring contractors, the business license must be up to date, and so there are certain as any organization would say, there are terms and conditions. So there are terms and conditions. Once you contact the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Finance will tell you what those terms and conditions are, and so you can go ahead, you can buy your paint, you can buy whatever you need to do to spruce up. Now, let me make it clear again that this is not for you to be building a new house or a new home, right? It's for you to be sprucing up. So as I said, once you go to the Ministry of Finance, they will be able to give you all of the information. And of course, we would have spoken about the scholarship for the Miss Culture Queen. We would have spoken about the homestay initiative. Honorable Premier, we know that there seems to be an issue right now when it comes to accommodation. I know you would have met with some hoteliers and real estate developers. I don't know what was the outcome of that, but there seems to be some concern out there where accommodation is concerned. I don't know if you have any update on that, but a lot of persons will be coming home, and we don't want to turn back anyone. We want all who have the appetite to come for Culturama for you to come. A little later on, I'll be just giving you a little snapshot of some of the activities that will be taking place. But Premier, in terms of accommodation, I don't know if you have any update on that, because a lot of persons overseas have been asking about accommodation. They want to ensure that when they come to Nevis, I understand that quite a number of the hotels have already been booked out fully.
All right. Well, Eric, thanks for that. Yes, it's good and bad in the sense that hotels are already showing significant bookings. In my meeting with hoteliers, I met with hoteliers and also with realtors, because I want to remind persons that the homestay program is in various categories. We have those who have villas, cottages, apartments. We're asking them to make those available, but also for those who have rooms in their homes. So as I said to somebody recently, I said, you know, I know you have 3 children and they're all now out of the house, so you possibly have 3 bedrooms that might be available, and if so, would you be able to make those available to persons who may want to rent? So we're having what we call a Nivision experience for those who want to be in the villages and rent in somebody's home, and we also want those who have a cottage in their yard, downstairs apartment, etc., who would want to rent that out. We also have people in the diaspora who have homes here that they don't have on rent but are shuttered, that they open them up and make them available as well. That is the whole intention. And so my meeting went well. I think that some of the hotels are saying they still have rooms that are available. In fact, I just 2 days ago saw that the Four Seasons Resort announced that they were offering specials for Culturama. I believe that they are offering some very interesting packages. The other hotels indicated that they too would be offering some interesting packages. Oali Beach Resort said to me that they had stopped selling because they were completely sold out. They had nothing else to sell. So they had told their salespeople not to try to attract any more business. But others, such as Montpelier, which was their Mount Nevis, which was their Four Seasons, which they were saying that they still may have rooms. I also will say to persons, because just today I got word that a couple who wanted to come cancelled because they could not find accommodation. So I'm saying to people, don't despair, because if you can't find accommodation in the hotels in Nevis, you can't get a villa or guest house or family to stay with, then there's also the possibility of staying on St. Kitts. And I'm encouraging people to do that as well, because Park Hyatt is only 5 minutes away from Nevis, and I know that even during music festival in St. Kitts, some people choose to stay on Nevis and then take the ferry and go over to enjoy themselves. So if that happens, then we will encourage people not to cancel, but to come home. St. Kitts and Nevis is home, so come home anyway, stay at the Park Hyatt, stay at the Marriott, as the case may be. And the ferry schedule now, we have invested in it significantly. It is at a level now where people can certainly go back and forth quite easily. So I don't want to hear anybody's cancelling, Eric. I really want people to come home and be part of it. And what is adding to the pressure is that a lot of our Kittitian brothers and sisters are also coming over to stay during Culturama.
And I don't think people realize how many persons from St. Kitts actually come over and stay for the weekend.
So I think all of that is adding to the pressure.
It is.
Right? But we are hopeful that we can accommodate. Come home, this is Nevis, and we will be able to find a way. We are asking people to come and really be a part of Culturama 50, and the realtors have said to me that they will try to make their villas and various apartments and cottages that they're responsible for available. And they've also said something which I think I should repeat, that those of you who are looking for places, you can also go online to those sites like Airbnb and those sites, because a lot of Nevis villas are offered on those sites. And I said to people that, listen, sometimes you look at a villa and it's $500 a night, or it's $1,000 a night. It sounds like a lot, but if you're a few of you sharing that cost, it actually works out. So if you're, say, 5 or 8 people and you're coming and you're staying in a 3-bedroom villa, which is $1,000 a night, when you spread that cost all across, it is actually might be more affordable than a hotel room. So there are a number of options. I want our people to come home, to reconnect. There are lots of family reunions that are happening.
Family reunions.
There is a lot. In fact, I've just been informed that Church Ground is having a Church Ground reunion. I want to commend all the Church Ground, as you know, the people in Church Ground and near and dear to me, that they are having a reunion in Church Ground. So a lot is happening, and we are really looking forward to activities the length and breadth of Nevis. Culturama, as we know, is our thing, and we expect that it's going to go out into the villages and into the communities and the highways and byways and little hamlets. In every part of Nevis we should have masquerade and string band and everything else, because our people need to feel that vibe when they come to the island, and that is certainly what we are trying to do. So Eric, kudos to you and the team thus far. I think that the calendar, as you say, and I want our people to understand, when the first calendar was released, that was one of the core activities.
Yes. And
people started, nothing happening, that looked boring. And then the second wave came out, and I believe I'm told that other waves are to come before Culturama, because people keep calling and offering new and innovative entertainment options, and we're hopeful that when we add that to all the restaurants and bars, and we're opening Pinnis Park, the final phase, we expect that it's going to be really fantastic. And so we encourage people to come home and be a part of Culturama this year. Now, I have to put in a plug, Eric, before we go back to discussion about Culturama. And you also have the big Agri Expo that's coming up. I know you want to mention that. But before I do that, I want to put in a plug. My daughter, Gabriella, has been involved with the Nevis. It's NICE is the acronym, NYCE, Nevis Youth Careers Expo. And she started this as an initiative. I'm quite proud of her, because she started when she was in England studying. She thought it was a good way to give back. And I really like when young people engage with other young people. And so she has a core team of people that she's been working with, people who assisted her. Naturally, she was not here. She's now back full-time in Nevis. And they're having that at the Culturama Village on Saturday the 8th. And I really want to commend her. The 8th is Saturday, no? The 8th is Friday. I'm sorry, the 8th. Forgive me. I want to commend her and her entire team for the tremendous effort. It's an incredibly popular event. It's all about careers and career paths, and I see that many of the companies have jumped on board. As we continue to say to our young people, prepare yourself. Prepare yourself to take advantage of the opportunities that exist here. You cannot take advantage of those opportunities if you sit back. You must go. You hear something keeping on there, go and find out what's keeping. You must put yourself in a position to take advantage of the opportunity. Nevis is growing, and it's growing rapidly. Jobs are available. The economy is picking up appreciably. We need our people to put themselves in that position. And whatever job it is, and whatever job you're doing, to do the best that you can at it, to equip yourself to take advantage of these opportunities. And I want to commend her and her team, because I think this Nevis Youth Careers Expo is a wonderful, wonderful undertaking. And I see that the Department of Labor is behind it, and people are galvanized around it, because it's all about young people, assisting young people. And I like the idea, because it really shows that not everything has to depend on government, that people can have initiatives out in the community and engage and do things in a very positive way. So, Gabrielle, if you're listening, congratulations to you and to your team, and certainly we look forward on the 8th of March to a fabulous event there. Now, Eric, one of the things that you did not yet mention, but I wanted to talk about, is sensitization of the public that there will be some construction activity at the venues.
Yes, of course, and I also want to join in congratulating Gabriella and her team. Of course, I think it's a great opportunity for young persons to at least be exposed to the many career opportunities that are available on the island of Nevis. And you're so correct, Premier. Nevis is growing and growing very rapidly, and that is why we see so many persons coming here to St. Kitts and Nevis. That's because opportunities are here, why so many persons are coming. And so yes, you're correct, Premier, there will be some construction activity. Of course, it's the 50th anniversary of Culturama, and we want it to be a really excellent experience for all of us who attend the activities. And so we have decided as an administration, from the Department and the Ministry of Culture standpoint, that we're going to do some sprucing up. I was just talking about sprucing up, and persons having an opportunity to spruce up their homes and spruce up their communities. We want to do some sprucing up at the cultural village and at the cultural complex as well. And of course, we know that persons who are coming home, they would want to be in more comfort. And so, of course, those who are operating here as well want to be in more comfort. And so we're going to be doing some work about the cultural complex. Most of the work will be concentrated up in the area of the concession stalls, the booths. And I know that over the years, the booth operators up in the cultural complex have complained bitterly about the condition of their booths. We have heard you, and we have decided to make do some renovation work up there. up in the cultural complex area where the booths are concerned. And I know there was an issue with sometimes the roof and things getting into the booths and so on. And so we will be taking off the roof of those booths, and we're going to be replacing the roof. We're going to be raising the floors a bit, because I understand that when rain falls, rain comes into the booths as well. There has been some issues up there, and so we are trying to address those issues for 2024 for Culturama 50. And so we're going to be having some improvement to the booths or the concession stalls about the cultural complex. Down in the village, the cultural village, that's where most of the renovation work will actually be taking place. Of course, we know that practically every year we do some renovation, both at the cultural complex and at the cultural village. But we thought that this being such a milestone year, Culturama 50, that we should go a little further. Now, over the years, performers who perform on the cultural village stage have been complaining bitterly that the performing area is a little small. And so we would have listened to the complaints over the years, both performers who are local performers from St. Kitts, performers from regional as well as international performers. They always complain that the performing area is too small, right? And so we would have looked at the area and decided, well, we can do something to fix this. We are not going to be extending the stage forward because we do not want to take up any of the additional space where the patrons will be. And so we have decided that we're going to enlarge the stage in a smart way. And so the backstage area, all of that backstage area will now become the stage. And so we're going to be moving that backstage area, and we're going to be putting that backstage area up into a section of the cultural complex. And so up in the cultural complex, we'll have an area which will be actually the backstage, the dress rooms and so on. We actually, last year we would have already cut a gate there. And I recall that when we had the activity there for Independence 40, that we had some tents set up in the cultural complex, and the artists were up there, and so they were able to walk through that entrance area and come down and perform on stage at the cultural village. But I said, well, we are going a bit further. We're going to be doing something permanent instead of having something temporary there. We're doing something permanent, and so the actual dress rooms will be in that little corner there, just up in the cultural complex, that little corner between the cultural complex and the cultural village. We have enough space there, and we are not going to actually be encroaching into the parking area or anything like that. We have enough space in that little corner there where we can build the dress rooms, and so we'll have the persons, when they're performing on the cultural village stage, they'll be dressing up there, and they'll be coming down and going onto the stage. And so we'll have a much bigger stage, a much bigger performing area, and I'm sure our performing artists will be very, very happy with that move. And so that is one of the main things we're going to be doing down in the cultural complex area in terms of enhancing the stage, and not only enhancing the stage but enhancing the backstage area as well. We're going to have additional dress rooms, and we're going to have additional toilets, facilities, and I'm sure persons, when they come, once that is finished, people will be very, very pleased with what we have done. Apart from that, Honorable Premier and listening and viewing audience, we will be doing something a little different as well this year. Of course, we know that every year when we have large activities, more and more people come to the cultural village, and we've had cases where persons or business places, corporate entities have decided, well, listen, we want to have a little private area where we can have a little VIP. And so we have decided in consultation amongst us that we're going to do some little VIP boxes. We're going to go upstairs the concession stalls here again. We're going to go upstairs the containers. And so we're going to be putting some VIP boxes upstairs, And so we're going to be hoping to have 5 boxes upstairs. And so persons in the corporate community will be able to rent those boxes when we have a function at the cultural village, and they'll be able to go upstairs there and enjoy the functional functions from the comfort of those VIP boxes. And so we are hoping to have 3 on the western end, that's the end towards the ETW Park, and 2 on the eastern end, that's the end towards the cultural complex. And so we are hoping to have some additional areas there for persons to come, of course, at a cost, and in some comfort as well. And so all being well, for Culturama 50, we should be sporting 5. Of course, we know currently there's one little VIP area which is at the back of the cultural village, but as I said, because of request, we have decided to go ahead and put those other VIP boxes upstairs. And so we're going to be providing 5 boxes for 5 corporate entities to rent. So corporate entities, if you're out there listening, you can probably start putting in your order now. And so quite a bit will be happening. I know time is running, but we are very confident that we will be able to get all of the work completed on time. Of course, we know that we're having a lot more activities this year. The activities are starting earlier, but we are very confident that we'll be able to get all of this work completed on time for Culturama 50. As I said, it's a huge year, it's a milestone year, and we are going all out in every aspect, in every area, to ensure that this Culturama 50 will be an experience that no one will ever forget.
Well, I'm delighted to hear about all the plans, and certainly I think the public ought to know that we hope to start those very quickly.
Yes.
So I believe as quickly as next week, we should be seeing some movement. We're mobilizing the necessary resources, and the intention really is to get the work done, and perhaps even to have different contractors involved, so as we can move this work as forward as expeditiously as possible. We're certainly looking for the cooperation of all in trying to get it done. But we are all excited about what's happening. I should tell you that I was informed that we've had some 20 plus applications already under the Island Enhancement Program that we're doing, where people can get duty-free and custom service charge dropped for anything like paint or windows, doors, as you say, furniture for those who have guest houses and apartments that are renting. The idea really is to encourage persons to use this opportunity, but I would want people to understand that there's a time limit on it, because it expires by August. The idea really is for you to get this and do it for Culturama. I also should add, because you asked people, say, well, government giving money people to do that, that is not the case, as you've pointed out. But I also needed to add that it is not for people who decide they want to build a house,
right,
or put on some additional rooms on their house and figure that they will benefit from that. No, the idea really is for people to use it to spruce up, that's the local language we use, to improve your aesthetics. For your buildings in Charlestown. We want to see all the buildings painted up and improved. We want to see you and your homes in the villages painting and improving, fencing, doing your driveways, etc. That's the idea in terms of helping. If you're having landscaping, lights and those kinds of things, that's really the idea, to try and help in some way. So it's an innovative idea, and it is designed to assist persons who might be interested in using that as an opportunity to lift the value and lift the appearances of their homes. The government as well, I should say, will be doing quite an extensive bit of work on its own buildings and various structures, so that we are going to lead by example. We can't have it. And so we ask for the patience of the public, because in Charlestown in particular, the government will be engaged in various activities of that nature. So we're certainly looking forward to that. Eric, before I open the lines, could you tell us a bit about the Agri Expo? I know that's happening soon, and I know you're going to have your team here next week
Yes.
to do
We're gonna take over your show next week.
the show next week to do a far deeper dive.
Yes.
But at least you could give us some fundamentals, because this is such a massive event each year, the Agri Expo here in Nevis.
Most certainly, as I said, thank you very much, Mr. Premier. And of course, as the Premier would have indicated, next year we're going to be on here. We're going to be here for 2 hours, just like last year. And you know, time has gone by so quickly. It seems like only last month we were here. And so, of course, this is a massive event that we are hosting, that we normally host, and it has grown tremendously over the years. And so we're having our Agri Expo. Of course, only last year it was renamed, because of course we have come to know it as the Agriculture Open Day. But it has grown so tremendously that last year we decided to change the name to Agri Expo. And so Agri Expo 2024 is just around the corner. It's just a matter of 2 weeks away. Normally we have the Agri Expo on the last Thursday and Friday of March. This year, Easter is coming a little early, and so Good Friday is the last Friday, which is the 29th of March. And so this year we have to bring the Agri Expo up by 1 week, and so we will be 1 week early this year. And so the expo will be on Thursday the 21st and Friday the 22nd of March. And of course we all know that the permanent home for the Agri Expo now is the ETW Park. Of course, we know we would have started up at Prospect, then we moved to the Villa, we outgrew the Villa, and now we are in the Park. I don't think we're going to outgrow the ETW Park. So I believe that is a permanent home for the Agri Expo. And so it's happening on the 21st and the 22nd of March. As I said, as the Premier said, I'm going to give you some basics, because we're going to dive into depth next week on the mark, when we're going to be focusing strictly on the Agri Expo next week. But I just wanted to let you know that the theme for this year is promoting sustainable agriculture for a resilient future. Our patron this year is someone who I'm very, very proud of, Miss Ermin Valerie Hendrickson from up there in Hamilton. And Ermin has been with the Open Day, with the Agri Expo, since its inception. I don't think she has missed 1 year. She's a very consistent agro-processor, and always everything we have and we call Ermin, she is always there. Not only at Agri Expo, but any function we have. If we have last year we had a few functions down at the farm down at Indian Castle, she was there. When we have functions at for Fruit Festival, she's there. So she's always ever present, and I think she's a very deserving person to be our patron this year. Of course, we know that there's always a little small fee of just $5 to enter the park, and of course, children who are in uniform, you're getting free, but it's just a small fee of $5. And I think we have outgrown that fee, but we have decided to be very kind, and we're going to leave it at $5, because $5 is really nothing much, really. But we decided to be kind, and there's so much to see inside, so much to purchase, and we know when you come into the ETW Park, you're going to be purchasing a lot of stuff. So we decided just to take a little small $5 from you. On Thursday it will go from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. On Friday it will go from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. Of course, we know we normally have a lot of entertainment lined up. We normally have a well-stocked bar. Anything you want agriculture wise and any other wise, you'll be able to purchase at the ETW Park on Thursday and Friday. And so we're expecting the whole of Nevis and St. Kitts and the neighboring islands to be here, to be at the Villa, to be at the ETW Park on Thursday 21st and Friday the 22nd of March. I have to mention something quickly as well, that there is a domino tournament, and of course we have been having a domino tournament for quite some time, and this year for Premier, I don't know why they're doing so many rounds for the domino tournament, but they're actually having a preliminary round. They're having a quarterfinals, they're having a semi-finals, and they're having a finals.
Oh, wow.
This almost sounds like Calypso now. And so the preliminary round will be on Saturday the 16th of March, and that will be at the Friends Bar in Bath Village.
Okay.
So the preliminary round will be at the Friends Bar in Bath. Then the quarterfinals will be on Thursday the 21st of March at the ETW Park. The semi-finals and the finals will be on Friday, the final day, And of course, you are asked to note as well that the registration fee is $75, and you can call 669-8947 to register. And we want to say a really big up to all of our sponsors for the tournament, the Finish Touch, Brands Architectural Services. They have been sponsoring the tournament from day one. First place is $1,500, second $1,000, third $700, and fourth $300. And of course, I also remind you as well that we will be selling our tickets again for the raffle this year for the pig and the cattle. The pig is only $5, the cattle is $10. You can already get your tickets from the vet services. And I must remind vendors that this coming Friday, the 8th of March, is the deadline for you to register. I think I called in last week and I reminded persons, because Premier, you know, as politicians, we are always inundated with calls and persons coming to our office say, I didn't get a chance to register, get me in. And every year we have this problem, you know. I remember last year someone reached right down to my office. I want to register, you know. And so we're asking you, we have to have the layout and everything. We have to plan properly. And so we're asking you to register by this Friday. If you haven't done so yet, head on up to the Department of Agriculture at Prospect between now and Friday to register if you want to have a booth at the Agri Expo. A lot of persons normally come, and so trust me, you will get sale. And don't argue about the price for the booths either.
All right, good. So we have a lot going on. Let me just say, because I was just, as Eric was speaking, was in touch with the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, that Thursday, March 14th at 7 p.m. at the Franklin Brown Community Center, we resume our public consultations on the airport project. So Thursday, March 14th, 7 p.m. at the Franklin Brown Community Center. We're inviting one and all to come out as we resume our discussions on the airport project. We have advanced considerably since the last interaction, and so we hope that you can come and see what's going on. It is 5 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. We're going to open the lines and take some calls. A number of issues are still out there swirling. Eric will get to some of those, but the numbers are 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. For those who want to call and be a part of the show, those are the numbers that you can call. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Now, Eric, we have had some recent occurrences across the region. We've heard, for example, of CARICOM making some very bold statements that they're now moving to full freedom of movement within the region. We already have freedom of movement within the OECS region, but they're now talking about the wider CARICOM. I see that Prime Minister Gaston Brown of Antigua and Barbuda has already come out indicating his concern about this new development. We have not yet heard from Prime Minister Drew on the matter as to where St. Kitts and Nevis stands. But I had the opportunity to speak to the Nevis chapter of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce. They had their quarterly luncheon just yesterday, and I engaged with them on that very matter, because I confess that there is a concern, and we ought to have a concern in the smaller islands, that there is the potential, just based on numbers and size, that we could be overrun if there is complete freedom of movement and we have no control. As I said, we already have it in the context of the OECS. Yes. And just so the public understands what freedom of movement means, it means that anyone from within CARICOM can get up tomorrow and come. And once they come, you say welcome. They have the right to live, to work, to function, to do everything as if they were Nivision or Kittitian here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Do we have somebody who's on the line? Let me take this call. Good evening, caller. You're on the mark. Hello.
A very blessed evening to you, the Honorable Matt Brantley, along with the Honorable Eric Evelyn, my good friend.
Good evening, sir.
Long standing, and all your listeners everywhere. I have heard that you mentioned the free movement of people throughout the Caribbean. Are you speaking specifically of the OECS or the CARICOM region or Commonwealth?
Well, I was trying to make the point. You called in just before I finished, but we already have free movement among the OECS countries. What we're talking about now is that CARICOM has announced, coming out of their recent meeting in Guyana, that there will be now free movement among CARICOM countries, which is of course a much wider grouping than just the sub-region, which is the OECS.
Right, definitely so. And I think that in and of itself is great news for the CARICOM region, because I am very, very pleased and quite happy with the arrangement within the OECS, whereby we have the free movement of people moving to and fro throughout the OECS, and we have people being able to move with just their driver's licenses, a valid ID of some sort. I think that is a good move. Of course, there are some countries who do not adhere to that. There are some countries who do not abide by that. And I am pretty sure that knowing the Barbadians and how they operate, it's very unlikely that Barbados may just accept someone coming with a birth certificate or a driver's license or a
Call, I think we have to be careful what we're talking about, because there's already freedom of travel within the region. We're now talking freedom of movement, meaning that if you're in Jamaica tomorrow and you decide that me and my family will move to Barbados, we'll move to St. Kitts, we'll move to Grenada, we'll move to Nevis, that they're saying that there will now be no impediments to you doing that. So it's not just about whether you can travel without a visa to visit. It is now going further and saying that you can decide, I'm in Trinidad today, no, things not working out here. Let me move to Nevis, where I understand there's some opportunities, and my family and I are going to move to Nevis tomorrow. And the Nevis government will really have no say in the matter. Once you're CARICOM, you'll be allowed to move freely and settle and work. So no work permits, no any of that. So the jobs that are available in Nevis, for example, now will have competing for those jobs all of CARICOM. Those in Jamaica will have competing all of CARICOM, etc. So it's a much wider concept than just the issue of whether or not I can travel from one island to the other.
Well, thank you very much for clearing up that, the Honorable Premier of Nevis. I am very, very happy that you have cleared that up. And I guess you would have realized that I was speaking initially about free movement of people with respect to your travel documents, not having to use a passport and all of that. But you have broadened up the scope quite nicely, and I'm very, very happy for the explanation that you have given. And as I said earlier, that is welcome news for me, and I am sure for people throughout the OECS, throughout the sub-region, and throughout the English-speaking Caribbean in particular. Of course, we can't speak too much for the people who speak Dutch, French, and Spanish. But of course, once they are members of CARICOM, they of course are going to be included. They are naturally included as well. So I do think that it is an excellent move by CARICOM to open up opportunities for people to move freely throughout the CARICOM region, whereby people can move from one island to the next and look for opportunities where they are, because they find that a lot of our people throughout the region sometimes limit themselves too much. Our people throughout the region over the years, historically, we have limited ourselves to just one island, the island of our birth, or maybe a neighboring island. But I believe that now that the market has been opened up, it has been widened, I believe it is a tremendous opportunity for people throughout the region, throughout the English-speaking Caribbean in particular, to move freely and look for the opportunities where they are to improve their lives, improve their livelihoods, and seek a much better life for themselves and the families. I think
caller, before you go, I hear you, but just to engage you for a moment. You have spoken about the upside, which is the opportunities that will arise for persons to travel and to seek opportunities, as you say, in various countries in the Caribbean. And that is as it should be. But do you have any concerns, especially those of us in the Eastern Caribbean? And let me be more specific, those of us in St. Kitts Nevis, because we are the smallest nation in the entire region. I just did a quick search as you were talking. The island of Jamaica, the country of Jamaica, has some 2.8 million people living there. Trinidad has some 1.6 or so million people living there. Nevis has 13,500 people living in Nevis. St. Kitts has about 45,000 living in St. Kitts. I commented...
Are you sure St. Kitts is not a little more than that?
Well, even if you give it 50,000, it's still collectively a very tiny space and a tiny country.
Yeah, just a drop in the bucket.
I said to somebody today that if 10,000 Nevisians were to get up and move to Jamaica, Jamaica would not notice. But if 10,000 Jamaicans were to move to Nevis, our school system would collapse, our health system would collapse, our housing system would collapse, our traffic and road, we are simply not yet at that level where we could absorb that many people. So while I hear you and you speak to the positives of it, and I agree that there are tremendous positives, nobody, it seems to me, is looking at it and saying, well, what would be the impact on the small islands? Because for me, freedom of movement is a welcomed initiative, but there has to be some kind of carve-out for microstates like St. Kitts and Nevis, because we simply run the risk of being completely overwhelmed by just a small fraction of persons from those bigger countries deciding, let us move. I made the same point because Dominican Republic has now applied to join CARICOM. Haiti is a member of CARICOM. Haiti and DUMREP together has about 30 million people between those two countries.
And quickly, how about Puerto Rico? Is there any possibility that they can also come in?
Puerto Rico is not part of it. They've not applied to be part of it. So we're dealing with what is existing. So Haiti is already a member of CARICOM. DUMREP is saying they want to be a member. So let us put those two together and you get between 25 and 30 million people. And I said to someone, if 10% of them decide they're going to move, 10% of 30 million is what? 3 million? How are the small islands in Eastern Caribbean to cope with 3 million people? Collectively, the whole population of Eastern Caribbean now is nowhere close to 3 million. In fact, we are less than 1 million. So the point that I'm trying to make is, I'm wondering if CARICOM heads, as I said, we have not yet heard from our Prime Minister, but I'm wondering if CARICOM heads have paid any attention to the limitations of scale and size that some of these islands have.
And if I could make a point as well,
yes,
Premier, because I was listening to news, I think it was about 2 days ago, and I think Bermuda wants to join CARICOM. But the news out of Bermuda, they said that the Premier has made it absolutely clear that if they become a member of CARICOM, the free movement is off the table, because they said Bermuda is too small for them to open up their borders. I could remember, I think I heard it right here on Vaughan Radio. And so Bermuda is already sounding the alarm that, listen, if we become members of CARICOM, this free movement thing will not be part of the agreement for us, because they are stating that, listen, we are too small and we cannot absolutely open up our borders to everyone. So there, I believe there are concerns from some of the member states. I know that I said there is this concern from Bermuda, which is not yet a member but wants to become a member.
So Carlo, how do you respond to that?
My response to this is quite simple. I believe that would provide an opportunity for the islands of the Caribbean to develop themselves far more than they are developed today. Because if you look at the economies of our islands throughout the Caribbean, you realize that our economies have not grown our economies have been stagnated for too long, for far too long. So I think the opportunity presents itself whereby our islands can dig into the resources of places like the World Bank, the IMF. We have the very rich Arab oil-rich countries. You have China, you have Taiwan. We can source funds from the countries of the world that have money and urbanize our countries, build roads, build bridges, urbanize all the areas that we call rural areas and create employment opportunities by modernizing our villages, modernizing our towns, and developing the islands to the point whereby we can never be short on employment. You continue to create employment everywhere, from every angle. Mind you, we have to think deep and we have to think big. We cannot be thinking small, and that is what we have been doing for too long. And the reason why we have remained stagnated and our economies have not developed. Our countries, I mean, I have been to nearly all the islands in the Caribbean, and I am not impressed with what I have seen in places like Kingston, St. Vincent, Dominica. The Dominicans don't want to touch the nature, the natural lands. I mean, we have to go beyond that, and we have to urbanize, we have to modernize, we have to build roads, build bridges, and build edifices, buildings whereby you can commercialize a lot of the island and create employment opportunities so that people can come from just about every island and find employment in Grenada, Antigua, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, St. Kitts, Nevis, Anguilla, Antigua, everywhere. And I believe if we think wide and we think broad and we think big and we source the resources where they are, because look at it, the oil-rich countries, they have monies like these. I mean, there are some countries that are so rich, they can help us to urbanize St. Kitts within a month. I mean, come on, the resources are there. We have to seek the resources and develop the countries. We have not done enough to develop our islands.
All right.
I believe that our islands are not developed enough, not sufficiently developed.
Okay.
We have not managed our economies well. Look at our infrastructure.
All right, caller, you'll have to wrap it up because you'll have to wrap it up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think that it can be done. I believe that it can be done. The potential is there, and every opportunity is there for every Caribbean island to be far more developed.
Okay.
You can take a look at Guadeloupe and Martinique. I have flown over them many times, and those two islands are well developed. You look at French and Dutch St. Martin. A lot have been put into those economies by the Dutch and the French, and the same thing can be done in all the other islands of the Eastern Caribbean that's speaking.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave it there.
All right.
God bless.
You'll have to. Thank you very much for that. You know, I listened to the caller, and the caller paints a sort of panacea. If it was only so easy, caller, to reach out to, as you say, the oil-rich countries and get money, it would be a different world indeed. But it is really not as simple as you make it appear. That you're out there, yes, you're trying to get resources, yes, but countries look after themselves first. And even when they assist other countries, it's all about their own strategic interest. But let's go back to the phones and take this call. Good evening, caller. Have we missed that caller? Let's try this one. Caller, good evening. You're on the mark. Hello? Caller, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, Premier.
Yeah, good evening. You're on the air. Caller? Okay, caller, I don't know what's going on. Can you call back in? Hello? 469-1616, 469-1700. We had you for a moment and then you disappeared. Let's try again. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Let's try again. Yes, good evening.
Caller, move away from your radio or computer, please.
I move away.
All right.
I'm here to listen to the program, very interesting program. But I hope that the Prime Minister of Kingston did not went to sign any the movement of no CARICOM. Because the way you look at CARICOM, it is a talk shop that gets nothing done. Look what happened in Haiti. CARICOM cannot do nothing to solve any problem in Haiti. Still before we go into a referendum. You hear me?
Yes, you said something about referendum. I didn't hear that.
We need to have a referendum before we allow here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We need to have a referendum to see if the people here are willing to join with CARICOM. We already have freedom of movement with the OECS and pretty well. But this is big. We don't have the services here for it. And
You're breaking up.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with you on your phone, caller. But
freedom of movement with CARICOM.
okay, all right.
Right? Because we see it. And happen just like that. And a stroke of writing with a pen. I don't think that's a good idea. We need to have a referendum on this for it happen.
Okay. All right, this caller is calling for a referendum before we open up. I just want the public to understand that we currently have freedom of movement in the OECS. So that means if you're from St. Vincent, Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia, Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, etc., you can just get up tomorrow and relocate. And equally, if you're from St. Kitts, you can get up and relocate there. What we've had in CARICOM is a limited freedom of movement because only people who have the skills certificate and in certain categories of workers have been allowed to come freely. Others could not. Now they're saying they want to allow everybody to come and go as they please. So that really is the issue that is a hot issue now because Gaston Brown, Prime Minister Brown, has spoken on it, and we await word from our own Prime Minister as to the position. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good night to the Honorable Premier. Good night to the Honorable Mark Brantley. Good night to the Honorable Eric. Mark, everything
Good
is
night,
clear
sir.
with you?
Yes, good night.
Yeah, good night, Eric. Yeah, good night, the Honorable. Now, Mark, this freedom of movement to CARICOM, I believe that it's going to be unfair to we the small island. I don't know how people see it, but it's going to be unfair to our small island. How much Kittishan and Nibijan will want to go to Barbados, go look a job? I've got to Guyana, go look a job. I've got to Trinidad, any one of them countries go look a job. You know, a Kittishan and Nibijan, they prefer go to in the British, in the United States, the British Virgin Islands, or whatever they get there. I don't think it's fair to we go into that right now. I am agree with Gaston Brown. Because we don't know our flock with people from different countries coming in and our batsmen them because of the lieutenant and because they want a job, they were desperate for work. They underpay them and all these things and keep out our people out of job. I don't think it will be fair to free movement and they just come in and get a job. Somebody just come in and get a job like that. I don't think it will be fair. You squeeze our small people, our small entrepreneur, our small private sector and everything. I have no problem, you know, if you come in as a Barbadian or something, because we go out there in other different countries and get work too. But just to pass the law, I believe that our government, our Prime Minister, supposed to look into that serious, and behalf of the people at the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. I believe you have to look into that serious before he will make any move about that.
All right.
And and before the mark, that caller was on earlier. He got a bad way. Every talk show he got on, the host got to cut him off. He must got some kind of consideration other people want calling us or something too. Okay, then, brother Mark, you have a wonderful night. Right. God bless you.
Okay.
Hey, good night.
Good night, sir. Good night.
Thank you very much. So, the issue of CARICOM, well, the phones are ringing. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I strongly believe, those countries of CARICOM, the larger ones, who are encouraging this freedom of movement on this big step. It's obvious. Their different various economies are having problems. And so for our way out to help their people, that is why they're encouraging this wider, bold step of having this freedom of movement. Now, it is clear for everyone. It don't even take rocket science to figure it out. How you can allow these things to happen? What about our smaller countries? We're going to be consumed, as you rightly indicated. It's only the other day we were talking about even the CSME, where, as you mentioned, just skilled workers. Even that is creating some kind of issue in our smaller federation. I believe strongly for the onset, the freedom of movement with the skilled person should have been limited to the OECS countries. Because, of course, all of us use the same currency. Many of us were surprised that the then Prime Minister, Dr. Dendell Douglas, had signed up to this CSME, because I don't think it is working for us. You know? And the last caller rightly indicated who, even 10 years ago or 5 years ago, going to go to Barbados or Trinidad or Jamaica to look for work. We cannot forget the West Indies Federation. I wasn't around. We cannot forget the West Indies Federation. These larger countries, they are all for themselves, and they know their countries having issues, and for our way out, they realize that these smaller islands are booming, and they feel because they are big, they're going to come and bamboozle our smaller islands. That should not happen. As I said, we were even thinking of pulling out from the CSME with the skilled workers, much less now to go to even taking the Kaiser grip. I beg your pardon. But I'm going to pause in case you might have any questions from you, or else I'll hang up.
No, I don't have any questions. You've made your view quite clear, and people are opining on this because I think for most people they are curious as to how it will work. As I said, I believe it's appropriate that we give our Prime Minister an opportunity to explain to St. Kitts and Nevis what his position is. He is the leader of the country, but I said that I really believe that CARICOM needs to have some sensitivity to the peculiarities of size. And you can't put a Nevis next to a Jamaica. That's Goliath and David, and you know that's a huge country compared to us, right?
And I even forget to raise the same point. Look at those countries who are doing well, who are some of the most strongest economies in the world. For example, UK and the US. They are even having problems with some of these CARICOM countries. And they would not think twice to deport them. People need to follow the history and listen to the news. And to strengthen my point before I hang up, we cannot afford to forget the West Indies Federation. We need to go to the archives. Those of us who wasn't around, the history book has been written, and we need to read.
Okay.
We need to read.
All right. Caller, I agree with you, the West Indies Federation. I think what the caller is referring to is in 1958. The then colonies, all of them were colonies, decided to get together and form something called the West Indies Federation. Jamaica was the first to pull out, indicating that the other islands, small islands, would be sucking Jamaica. I recall there was a story that Bustamante, one of the leaders of Jamaica, led a sow, a pig, through the streets with 10 piglets, saying that the rest of us, 9 piglets, I'm sorry, saying that the rest of us was sucking Jamaica dry. That was the fear. Jamaica became independent in 1962. The Federation collapsed in 1962. And then Trinidad, it is said that Eric Williams, then leader of Trinidad, made a famous speech that 1 from 10 leaves not, meaning Jamaica having left the 10, nothing left. And so Trinidad then went into independence in 1962 as well, I think, later in 62 if memory serves. Barbados followed. They tried this little 8 with Barbados and the rest, but that didn't work, and so Barbados became independent. I think it was 66, and then all of us became independent subsequently. The last of us, I think, was St. Kitts and Nevis in 1983. So that is what you're talking about, Carla, in terms of the history. But of course, we're not bound by our history. Sometimes things happen in history which are a mistake. Jamaica made the mistake to think that because it was the largest and at the time very successful, having discovered bauxite and having an early, very prosperous tourism industry, that it would be called upon to contribute to our development. As fate would have it, or as history would record, the Jamaican economy then went into free fall. And so Jamaicans, in fact, started to look for other areas in which they could migrate and do better for themselves over that period of time. The question now, I believe, for me, really, is not that freedom of movement is a bad thing, because I support freedom of movement. The question for me is whether or not there should be a carve-out for small islands like St. Kitts and Nevis to say, listen, we have a limit, because the truth is we cannot handle a large influx of persons, and that really is the concern for me.
And we have to bear in mind, Premier, as well, that coming on the heels of us increasing the minimum wage, I don't think people really understand what the minimum wage is in other islands, as to what it is in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Compared to what it is.
Compared to what it is here. And so we also need to bear that in mind as well.
Right. Let's go back to the phones. We have some few folks holding. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening to you.
And Deputy Premier.
Good evening, how you doing?
I'm great.
Lovely.
Mr. Evelyn,
Yes.
you have the sweet potato, how the sweet potatoes come in?
They're coming in time for, they'll be here in time for, as I said last week, there is no Easter without conky, and there is no Easter without anything with potato. So they're going to come, they're coming in time for Easter, and they're coming in time for the Agri Expo.
Okay.
I hope I'm going to see you for the Expo. I hope I'm going to see you for the Expo.
Oh, God willing.
Okay, good. Make sure you introduce yourself to me, eh?
Okay, I will.
Okay.
Mr. Premier Brantley?
Yes.
You have an open line, or is about carry?
Open line.
Open line if you have something of public interest.
Okay, because I didn't want to stray from the topic. I would just want to congratulate the Literacy and Debating Society team from Nevis for winning the debating competition.
Yes.
I tuned in late, so I didn't know. That's why I was asking if you have an open line or what. You have a special topic.
That's fine, because as a matter of fact, we would have done so. We would have done so earlier as well. We congratulated them as well.
Yes, and you all have to try a little cocktail or something for them to make them feel nice and special.
Yes, we are listening. We are listening to the suggestion.
Okay. Now I'm not hearing the feedback.
You're getting the feedback from me. We are listening to the suggestion.
Anyway, I want to ask either of you a question. Why is it when they're having a competition, whether it's a Queen show, a Calypso show, or a good example is the debating competition that was just held. Why is it we can't just have one person or group representing the federation? Why is it we have to have two flags of the same flying? I just see, and I've witnessed, and I will maybe watch online or YouTube or whatever, or listen. You will have Antigua and Barbuda, you see one person, one flag. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, one person, one flag. Trinidad and Tobago, and I could go on and on. The U.S. Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands. So why is it St. Kitts and Nevis can't just have one flag or one group or one person? We are appropriate. Because the reason for me asking or saying that, because I'm going to be honest with you, it don't look good. It look like as though we are not, like we are divided, we are not together, we don't get along. Like for instance, if a particular group or organization having a festival or whatever, and they invite someone from St. Kitts or someone from Nevis. Like so for instance, Carnival, and they invite somebody from Nevis and invite somebody from St. Kitts. Why can't the Rama committee or whoever they vote to invite the person, and the Carnival committee from here join together or communicate and send one person. Whether you have you vote, you online or something like that. So I would like to see that in the future.
Caller, I think that the mistake that you're making, if I can be so bold, is that you're making a comparison between apples and oranges. When you say Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua, Barbuda, those countries do not have the same constitutional makeup as St. Kitts and Nevis. They are different in nature.
Well, you see, I looking at it, but then it's only St. Kitts and Nevis that's like they have two representatives.
Well, but it is not always, but in fairness, let us be fair, it is not always the case. So, for example, when we send a team to Carifta, we send a team to Olympics, it's a St. Kitts Nevis team.
Yes,
you may have representatives. The only time you really see that, the only time you really see Nevis competing and St. Kitts competing is when we have regional engagements, such as within the OECS. You may have netball, you have debating, etc. You have Leeward Islands cricket,
football.
That is where you see Nevis and St. But even football, St. Kitts Nevis competes as one team.
Yes, yes.
So you're making a broad statement which is not entirely accurate either.
But Mr. Brantley, I gave you examples, and I wasn't lying. You have calypso shows, you have queen shows, majority. That's why I said majority of the time. You have two of the same.
But I am disputing it to say that it is not the majority of the times. Those that you're describing are all local competitions. They are all local engagements.
Even for like you find for the Caribbean show, I don't see Nevis 20 and
right, but
St. Kitts 20.
Okay.
It happen all the time.
So I'm trying to say to you that you have, for the most instances of that, it's either local or it's within the sub-region. We cited some examples.
St. Kitts and Nevis, I don't see that happen too.
But it's only St. Kitts and Nevis, caller, because we have a different setup to the other countries. You can't ignore that.
And a unique setup as well.
A unique setup. We're not the same as Antigua and Barbuda. We're not the same as Trinidad and Tobago.
I'm not comparing the islands, but I'm speaking about the individual.
Well, I'm trying to tell you that the individuals representing it flows in part because the country is set up differently. Nevis has considerable autonomy within the constitutional framework of St. Kitts and Nevis that Barbuda doesn't.
So okay, let me ask you a question now. So how is it one time you're going to have a team and then the next time you're going to have two representatives or two citizens?
Well, because as I said, it depends on the occasion. There are a number of instances where, say at the Leeward Islands level, debating, as we just witnessed, cricket, as we've had, that the Nevis Island is able to field its own participants in that. But
well, I guess St. Kitts and Nevis are special because only we either see that do that.
Well, we are unique situation, and
but
that's why I say sometimes the comparison doesn't work. The comparison doesn't work because St. Vincent and the Grenadines has a completely different constitution to St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of how it's set up.
And Trinidad and Tobago.
Exactly. All right, so I hope that helps. I understand you don't like it, but at least it might help to explain.
I hope you understand what I was saying to a certain extent.
I do understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to explain context.
Have a good night, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, and you have a good night as well. See you at Agri Expo.
All right, let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. We have people holding. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good mark.
Yes, good evening.
Again. I don't believe the caller understands. Because all the time back, St. Kitts Nevis replicate together because it's a Leeward Island tournament. And it make up the thing because the OEC is small. So it make up the numbers. If St. Kitts just sending a team, one team in the debate. You know, you can look because the Leeward Island small. You understand? It's a Leeward Island tournament, so I see nothing wrong with that. When they go on the international stage like the Olympic or whatever now, they go and they represent the federation. Whether they are league from Nevis, he will go out and represent St. Kitts Nevis or whatsoever. But this is just in Leeward Island OECS town, whatever. And you know, that it make up the numbers. So I do not think the caller understand. Some people just do not want to listen and they just don't want to learn and they just will get their own way of thinking. Nevis is you all got your own island assembly, You got your thing. I don't think in Trinidad and Tobago them don't got their own thing. Eh? It's a federal state, but we different.
Well, that's what I'm
You
saying.
understand?
I think that's the point that can't be missed. That St. Kitts and Nevis is unique. In fact,
When you go on the big stage, you go represent now. Me, we should represent St. Kitts out there on the big stage. If the Nevision qualified to go. He wouldn't go to the Nevision, he would go to St. Kitts Nevis.
right. That's you're absolutely correct, caller. That is
Yes,
the way
okay
that
then,
it works.
okay then, Mark.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's stick with the phones. The calls are coming in fast and furious. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello. Hello.
Good evening again.
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mark, as I was trying to explain the case with the young lady just now, an interesting question just came to my mind. As you mentioned about St. Kitts and Nevis, I mean, it's the only one of those twin island states that have a different constitutional setup. Our question for you, we are the only state as twin that that Nevis have, one of them have its own local administration.
Well, I
Because
think
I don't think Barbuda and Tobago have their own local
I think they do. You know, I think I've heard of a Barbuda council.
Yes.
And I've heard that Tobago has some kind of local government as well, but it is not the same in the sense that the powers
They don't have as much autonomy.
and the powers that are given to Nevis are fundamentally greater than those given to those local
What
councils.
about the Grenadines Islands? They are similar
No, they don't have anything. It's just St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
So that actually strengthens your point, what you were trying to explain to the young lady. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks a bit. We have quarter to the hour of 10 o'clock. Eric, it's been an interesting night so far. But I think that our people, we understand sometimes that we look at other countries.
Yes.
We observe what happens in other countries and we say, why is that not happening here?
Right.
Without taking the time to try and at least understand context, because I think context is important. St. Kitts and Nevis, the word you used was unique.
Yes, very
And
unique.
it is a unique arrangement as a result of our peculiar past history and of course what was negotiated in terms of our constitution. But the phones are going crazy. Let's go back. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Mavis Paris speaking.
How are you, Mavis?
I am good.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I was part of that phenomenal debating team.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Mavis.
congratulations.
Thank you very much. So, the children don't shine without the writers and researchers behind them. So I want people to understand that and appreciate that it takes a full team effort.
Yes.
That's one. Two, in allusion to what the previous callers were speaking about just now, I've been to these Leeward Island debating competitions, both as a student and as an adult. And you can hear in the case of Antigua and Barbuda, a lot of time you have mostly Antiguans and the team. And if you had one Barbuda, you would hear them sitting conversation with you, telling how they are so jealous of how Nevis is set up, the constitution for St. Kitts Nevis is set up, because it gives us that autonomy. Because really and truly, if we start to look at ratio and population, we are going to see we have 2 high schools in Nevis and 8 in St. Kitts. What does that say when you start fielding and looking for, performance? And then the activity of moving, because it's an expense to have students come from Nevis to go over to St. Kitts for trials, or to have Nevis come over to St. Kitts. And you know what? Just like how they have the big hiccup now, because St. Kitts don't think they should come up here to Mundo Trap for the games. There's a big way in St. Kitts about that, not wanting to come over. So it's like, because we have our autonomy, we can have a good sports meet over here and not depend on St. Kitts to have our students over here shine. The talent that we have over here, we can let it shine, we can let the world see without depending on St. Kitts or being joined with St. Kitts as a team in order to shine. Now, like I say, and like the Constitution says, it gives us that autonomy in the small region of the Leeward Islands and in the Caribbean. It doesn't give us that on the worldwide stage. But, well, the pastor say,
we fought and we weak. We went back to the hotel and we prayed and we said, let this enemy and this demon be cast out. And we come here for business, and business we going to deliver. And we delivered. Who don't like it, smoke it. But we did. And people have to stand up for their children, stand up for the youth of Nevis, and stand up for us to shine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mavis. But everybody been telling me I need to get Mavis on the show, I guess, because Mavis talked it all. She talked plain. And Mavis, we always appreciate. And thank you for your own role in supporting our students over the years. And I think that the students from Nevis they did well. And I commented at the start that they had to do 3 debates. Because they had to beat, I think first they beat Montserrat.
Yes.
Then who was the second team that they beat? It was Anguilla, yes. I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then
another thing I want to say.
Yes.
You know what? All of us were in that church service when all of those things were said. And the other team members, the mouth hang open. Some people say we're supposed to take it as a joke. It's a joke. But it's not a joke when you are demoralizing our youth. Because you just made them feel not equipped. And we have to watch them. We have to counsel them. And big people must be careful with their words.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that, because not all joke is joke, as they say, and yeah, I mean, I
certainly people say some joke, there's joke.
All right. Thank you very, very much, Mavis, for your contribution.
You're welcome.
All right. It is 10 minutes to the hour. Eric, we're going to take a few more calls.
Yes.
Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello.
Good night, Honorable Mark and Honorable Eric Evelyn.
Good night.
Good night to you all.
How you doing?
I'm calling from the Beaver. Listen, I enjoy the sport. I enjoy the sport today. I see all of it, but I enjoy the sport Sunday and the other one. And them little children is very good. The kindergarten. Oi, let me tell you, I give credit to the guys them who are part of the track and field teaching these little children. And let me tell you something, if they keep it up, you will have a lot of runners coming out on the evening.
And of course, not only because of the training as well. We must remember that because of the investment that the Nevis Island administration made in putting down the Mondo track, that's why we're having so many students who are shining and shining so brightly now.
And also I give credit to the television broadcasting team. They're doing a very good job. I think we need to really have a nice track, a nice shedding and sitting, and it gonna come in Nevis. But I give the guys them who showing the races with the little
the live stream.
Yes. And showing everything is very good. I enjoyed every bit of the little children.
Good.
Every bit. All right, guys.
Thank you very much. Well, of course, as he rightly indicated, Premier, this is a sports season. A lot of sports is taking place, and of course, the Mondo track, the Nevis Athletic Stadium, does be bubbling with activity. And I must say kudos as well to the children. They've been doing an amazing job. And of course, kudos to the team that is ensuring that people are able to view live. I think we have another call online. Good evening, caller.
Hello.
Good evening. You're live and on the mark.
Yeah, good night. I just have a different topic.
Yes.
Concerning the dispensing of medication from the government pharmacy.
Yes.
I think this mention of no over-the-counter transaction. It used to be that you go by your patient and you pay and you get the receipt and collect. So, does that still obtain?
No, caller, what we're saying, the new policy is that we would only fill prescriptions that are issued from government health facilities. So, put differently, if you go downtown to your private doctor and your doctor gives you a prescription, we will not be filling that prescription at the hospital pharmacy for you. You must go to the pharmacy, the private pharmacy, to get your prescription.
Okay, let me just put in something else. Suppose I'm a senior, I'm 65, 70, whatever. I'm hypertensive. I'm on medication for the rest of my life. My private doctor is not my doctor is not a private, is not a government doctor. He doesn't work at the hospital or the health center. And he's somebody like, say, Jacob, so I confide in. And he's my family physician. And he gives me a prescription. I'm a senior. I should get free medication.
Well, we have made arrangements for those who benefit from special programs like the seniors. So they're not being impacted by this new policy. We have our seniors, we have those who access medication like, as you said, for diabetics, which are heavily subsidized by us because of our NCD situation. All of those are built into the policy. What we're trying... Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that if I go to Dr. Jacobs and I bring medication to the pharmacy, government pharmacy, I'm 65 or 70, I'm a senior, I would get that prescription filled.
Well, Carl, I just explained to you that we have carved out exceptions for our seniors because they're the ones who benefit from free medication. What I'm talking about, this policy is intended to prevent what was happening, where people were bringing prescription all from Sinkits. And all of them were being filled at our pharmacy here, which was creating a huge problem for the administration in financing it. And also creating a problem where the pharmacies on the island were saying, well, we might as well shut down. Because if you're giving people the drugs at a heavily discounted price, and they therefore have no incentive to purchase from us. And that was a problem. Sinkits for years now only will fill prescriptions from their public health system at their hospital pharmacy. But Nevis has been filling prescriptions from anybody who bring a prescription, we fill it. So we are trying to stop that.
And you finish with accepting cash to fill prescription at your pharmacy.
I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware that we finished with accepting cash. Nobody has informed me of a change in policy in relation to that. So that I'm not aware of.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Let's stick with the phones. We still have people calling. Eric.
Yes.
Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you're on the air.
Hi, Mark. Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I realize the line has been really busy tonight, boy.
And we are running out of time, so go ahead quickly.
Yeah. I tuned in a little late. But I realized you were talking about the free movement. That was the main topic tonight.
Not necessarily.
Right. We had a number of topics, caller, but as I said, you're on the air now, so go ahead, because we don't have time.
Okay. And also, let me say good evening to the Deputy Premier.
Good evening to you, sir.
We are one Caribbean, and I can speak in reference to St. Kitts and Nevis. When it comes to St. Kitts and Nevis, these two little islands are seriously in my heart. Don't matter whether it's Jessup, it's Gingerland, or it's Connery, or Keyon, all of them are in my heart. One, I don't know how anybody else see it, but when it comes to St. Kitts and Nevis, my mother is come from over there in Butlers, you know. My family died there just the other day, Florence Maynard.
Yes.
And I think I would have seen the Deputy Premier.
Yes, I was there.
And so when it comes to St. Kitts and Nevis, we are one, and this is how it's going to remain. I don't matter whoever try to change it, it will never change. Yes, we will have our differences and things like that, but it's not going to change. When it comes to the Caribbean, I could say, as you would have rightfully mentioned in terms of the constitution, compared to other countries, Nevis and St. Kitts, if you have a Caribbean competition outside of the OECF, then you may have somebody representing St. Kitts and Nevis. But when it comes to the OECF, for sure, it will be St. Kitts and Nevis in the competition. St. Kitts and Nevis in the competition. And then outside of the Caribbean, for sure, they are definitely St. Kitts and Nevis. One, representing the country, representing the nation and the federation. I want to say, before I leave, Mark, that in the past, St. Kitts for sure has been robbed in terms of having anyone representing the West Indies team. But I can confidently say that very shortly, because right now in the West Indies tournament, we have just about the best batsman in the tournament. He has the most runs. He just came over in Nevis, played against a team in Nevis, and a whopping 100 he would have recorded. He scored 200 in a match down here against Guyana, and in a matter of less than 2 months, he done got 4 centuries, right? And his brother, he has the most wickets as a fast bowler in the regional tournament.
So, caller, you think you'll have a player on the West Indies team soon? That's what you said.
I expect to have all of the foolishness that took place over the years with the outstanding players we would have created and should have been given the opportunity. They were not responsible.
Okay, caller, we're out of time, so you can't, you make your point. You expect to have somebody soon on the West Indies team.
Right.
Good. Thank you very much.
I'll leave it there until next time we deal with the other matters.
Good, thank you.
Okay,
Let's see if we can take this final call for the evening. We have about a minute left. Good evening, caller. Hello? The call is on? No? Okay. Yes, there's somebody there. Caller, good evening. Alright, I don't think that we are being put through to that caller. I thought we had 2 minutes left based on our clock here, but it looks like we're up. Eric, thank you for being here with us tonight.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And of course, I want to remind folks that I'm going to be here again next week. And thank you very much for having me, Mr. Premier. Always a pleasure being in your company. Always a pleasure being on the Eastern Caribbean Powerhouse.
Well, I'm really delighted. I think we had a good show tonight. A lot of views and a lot of passion, and that's always important as we continue to play our role in fostering freedom of speech here in Nevis and St. Kitts. It's a very important mission on which we have been afoot here at One Radio and On The Mark. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. and we certainly look forward to one and all going out to the Mondo track this weekend for the Nevis High Schools Championship, and then next weekend for the Federal High Schools Championship. That's our show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for all who tuned in. Thank you for those who participated and who called. And we couldn't accommodate everybody this week, but please tune in again next week for another edition of On The Mark. Straight talk across the Narrows. Thank you, good night, and God bless you.
Good night.
And opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily